In the quiet town of Palmer, Alaska, a shocking and heartbreaking case unfolded in 2016 that captured the attention of the nation. It's the story of David Grunwald, a young man with a promising future, who fell victim to a horrific crime committed by 5 of his friends. This case serves as a stark reminder of how lives can be forever altered by the choices we make and the company we keep. David Grunwald was a 16-year-old high school student who had a promising future ahead of him. He was born on June 4, 2000 in Anchorage, Alaska. He lived with his parents, Ben and Eddie Grunwald, in Palmer, Alaska. He had a younger brother, Max, and a large extended family who loved him dearly. David was a smart, kind, and handsome young man who had many interests and passions. He loved music, reading, writing, and gaming. He was also interested in aviation and planned to become a pilot. He had a girlfriend, Victoria Mokulk, whom he adored. He was a student at Matsu Career and Technical High School, where he studied welding and carpentry. He was a hard-working and responsible young man who helped his parents with chores and projects around the house. David had many friends who described him as a loyal, caring, and fun-loving person. He was always there to support and uplift others, and he had a positive outlook on life. He was also very independent and adventurous, and he enjoyed exploring new places and experiences. He was happy and content with his life, and he had no reason to fear anyone. However, unbeknownst to David, there were some people who had a sinister plan to harm him. They were Eric Almendinger, Dominic Johnson, Austin Barrett, Bradley Renfro, and Devin Peterson, who were all 16 or 18 years old at the time of the crime. They were acquaintances of David, but not his close friends. They had a history of criminal behavior, drug abuse, and violence. They had a twisted motive for killing David, which was to steal his marijuana and his 1995 Ford Bronco. On November 13, 2016, David went to Almendinger's house, where he smoked marijuana with Almendinger, Johnson, and Renfro in a camper behind the residence. While doing so, Johnson texted Barrett and Peterson to bring a gun to the trailer. Barrett arrived with a .40 caliber handgun, which he gave to Johnson. Johnson then used the gun to pistol whip David, knocking him unconscious. The 4 teens then dragged David into his own Bronco and drove him to a remote location near the Nick River, about 20 miles away from Palmer. They walked him 200 feet into the woods where Johnson shot him once in the head, killing him instantly. They then left his body there and drove his Bronco to another location where they set it on fire. Peterson helped them hide the gun and gave them gas cans to burn the Bronco. David was reported missing by his parents that night when he failed to return home after dropping off his girlfriend. His father called the police and said that his son was 3 hours overdue, which was very unlike him. His father also said that his son may have gone to Almendinger's house to give him a ride to Anchorage. The police launched a massive search for David and soon identified Almendinger as a person of interest in his disappearance. They discovered that Almendinger had used a master key fob to access David's apartment just before he went missing, and that he had also used it to enter other units in the complex without authorization. They also found that Almendinger's cell phone records placed him near David's Bronco the night it burned. They also found a cab driver who had picked up Almendinger and another teen near the Bronco. Almendinger initially denied seeing David the night he disappeared and said he had taken a cab to Anchorage. However, he later confessed to his involvement in the killing and implicated the other 4 teens. He said that Johnson was the one who shot David and that he did not know why they did it. He also said that David had begged for his life before he was killed. The police then interviewed the other 4 teens, who also confessed to their roles in the crime. They also received a tip from another teen who said that Johnson had told him where David's body was. The police found David's body on December 2, 2016, in the woods near the Nick River. They also found a shell casing nearby. The medical examiner ruled David's death as a homicide by gunshot wound to the head. The 5 teens were arrested and charged with murder, kidnapping, and arson in David's death. They were tried as adults and faced life in prison. Almendinger, Johnson, and Renfro were convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to 99 years, 98 years, and 105 years in prison, respectively. Barrett pleaded guilty to second-degree murder and was sentenced to 45 years in prison. Peterson pleaded guilty to tampering with evidence and was sentenced to 6 years in prison. David's family and friends were devastated by his tragic and senseless death. They held vigils, memorials, and protests to honor his memory and demand justice. They said that David's death could have been prevented if the defendants had taken proper measures to protect him and other residents from the killer's harassment and violence. The trial shed light on the disturbing details of the case, from the planning of the crime to the brutality inflicted on David. It was a harrowing reminder of how easily young lives can go astray when surrounded by negative influences and poor decisions. David Grunwald's murder serves as a stark reminder of the profound impact that the choices we make and the company we keep can have on our lives. A young man with a bright future and a passion for the outdoors was taken from this world far too soon, leaving a community in shock and mourning. The tragic case of David Grunwald is a somber lesson in the consequences of poor choices, peer pressure, and the enduring pain that a community can feel when one of their own is taken from them. It's a story that will forever be etched in the memory of Palmer, Alaska, and a testament to the importance of cherishing the bonds of friendship while making choices that lead to a brighter future, rather than a path of darkness and despair. David Grunwald was a victim of a heinous crime that cut short his promising life. He was a beloved son, brother, friend, and student who had a bright future ahead of him. He was a young man who had a lot to offer to the world and who deserved to live his life to the fullest. He was a beautiful soul who will never be forgotten. Make sure to watch this video which pops up on the screen, and don't forget to like, comment, and also join the channel.